First, let's address the elephant in the room, as it were. This video is not a debate about free will or determinism. If you want to learn more about why humans make choices and decisions, a comprehensive study I found at the Stanford University may provide some satisfying explanations, and I'll put the link in the description below. The concerns over AI manipulation have been around for several decades. In fact, you might remember the dystopian comedy Idiocracy, which was released in 2006. I recommend it only because in a B-movie style, albeit an A-movie hit, the story takes a look at where the world is headed right now and convincingly says, look, humanity is just going to get really dumb.
I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
However, you might be surprised to learn that Fox Studios actively tried to bury the movie altogether. A number of sources suggested it was pressure from advertisers and big business, to name a few.
The rumor is that because we used real corporations in our comedy. I mean, Starbucks was giving hand jobs, and these companies gave us their name thinking they were going to get pumped up. And they were like, welcome to Costco, I love you.
Welcome to Costco, I love you.
All these real corporations are like, wait a minute. Carl's Jr.
Welcome to Carl's Jr. Would you like to try our
extra big ass taco?
There were a lot of people who were like backing out, but it was too late. And so Fox, who owned the movies, decided we're going to release this in as few theaters as legally possible. So it got a release in probably 3 theaters over one weekend, and it was sucked out into the vortex.
But since its release, activists have even touted the movie as a documentary instead of a movie. I've noticed the intensifying sound of the alarms going off around us concerning one specific reason for humanity's increasing dumbness. It's not just a simple matter of having less intellect. After watching several videos produced by YouTubers like Christopher Zakrzewski at the Upper Echelon and other websites that are dedicated as AI watchdog organizations, I started to dig myself. There are the obvious questions we all have, but being a researcher myself, I was motivated to seek not only the truth of the matter,
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
but consider what the real consequences of complacency are regarding this new toy of theirs, generative AI. I asked myself a number of questions, but distilled it down to 3. First, how does an engineer or programmer design the algorithms that synthesize and then focus, say, petabytes or even exabytes of data into a solution or an answer? That way I have a fair working knowledge of how these systems work. Secondly, what autonomy does a company's programming team possess when designing their generative AI model for their customers? And as I found out, quite a bit. What is the maximum damage big business can really do to humanity, if anything? In other words, do they really gain any measurable control over us? So I went straight to the source. After a very interesting virtual conversation with ChatGPT 4.0, I built the basic framework of its rules for choice while also referring to articles on the subject. I've put links in the description below. Basically, and I do emphasize basically, because this subject can get quite complicated, the ChatGPT model you can see in Figure 1 postulates that humans make decisions using 4 basic steps, while at the same time drawing information from our personal repertoire of accumulated experiences. This pool of information grows and sharpens with age, but is also molded by the self-perceived results of our past decisions. For example, this experience was good, so we add that to our pool. That experience was bad, so we discard it, and on and on. Again, I'm not debating which psychological method of decision-making we humans use. I want the neural network to explain that to me in its words. What is it using to generate, or more accurately, simulate choice? That should give me a clue as to what method the programmers believe we use, and thus what they are specifically targeting. So I asked it several questions. On April 4th, 2024, I initiated a conversation with ChatGPT 4.0, and surprisingly, it compared a human's ability to choose to that of the AI model's simulation of choice. Here's my question. Do AI models have the ability to choose?
AI models, including myself, do not possess consciousness or autonomy. Instead, We execute tasks based on algorithms and data input. While AI models can simulate decision-making processes by evaluating various options and selecting the most appropriate one based on predefined criteria, these decisions are ultimately determined by the model's programming and the data it has been trained on. Therefore, AI models do not have the ability to choose in the same way that humans do, as their actions are deterministic and lack subjective experiences or free will.
Uh-oh. Okay, here's the root of the matter and my first point. Will the programmer's choices increasingly affect or change our choices and decisions without our ever even realizing it? Okay, even the architects of the AI models can't explain how the nuts and bolts of the neural networks work. But combine that with imperfect human programming, corporate greed, and ever-increasing profit prioritization, you've just lit the fuse. Most of the time, we don't stop to think about why we do things in our daily lives, but if we did, we might realize that we can't always explain why we feel or want certain things at certain times. This same conundrum arises in artificial intelligence. Those who create AI are finding it difficult to explain how it works and why it produces specific results. Deep neural networks, which are molded after the human brain, often behave in ways that are hard to understand, much like human intelligence. This identifies the first major consequences. The users of such AI models can feign ignorance and avoid accountability for the consequences of their deeply biased models. Of course, deeply biased towards their own brand, service, or product. So I asked ChatGPT, may I conclude then that you, being an AI model, are at the mercy of your programmers when making choices on which data to display for a user?
Yes, that's correct. As an AI model developed by OpenAI, I operate based on the programming and algorithms created by my developers, and I process and provide information based on the input provided by users. The decisions I make, including what data to display for a user, are determined by my programming and the instructions provided to me. While I can simulate decision-making processes based on the input I receive, my actions are ultimately determined by the parameters set by my programming and training data.
Yeah, at this point, I'm getting that creep vibe. ChatGPT is seemingly confirming my suspicions. Putting aside the obvious matters of guidelines and oversight, regulations, or transparency, are we really creating an AI technology that essentially gives owners of these models God mode abilities? Let me give you a quick, very basic example off the top of my head. You might remember back in the 70s and 80s, and of course you can look this up, were the Cola Wars. Now, this was a means to eliminate the competition, and seemingly by any means possible, therefore called the wars. Simple and straightforward goals, right? This comical war has been fought through clandestine advertising, specifically targeted at humans' choices, and there's no argument there. However, we started turning off the TV and moved into the internet. Ever since then, advertising companies have been handcuffed by a number of roadblocks in getting their ads into your head. And on top of that, we can click past their ads. But not anymore. Now it's a simple matter of inserting clandestine AI add-ons to search engines, social media apps, devices, videos, and keep the ads on TV, billboard, magazines, and such. The difference is that AI influences have the power to change people's preferences quicker through contests, install this app, schemes, giveaways that hijack our devices, so-called loyalty rewards and jazzy graphics and sound effects and so on. It's advertising put right into our hands and with the swipe of a finger into our minds. In fact, they can implement this influence wherever people seek information through the use of clever choice logic AI models specifically crafted with a neural network that ensures their brand is chosen over another. See, they can use the illusion of choice while reinforcing the clique that always buys their product or service, and the human is none the wiser. But this technology pierces insidiously deeper. No, not brainwashing. Remember the movie Idiocracy? Companies have been using that similar but old model of manipulation, advertising. So TV billboards, ads. It's everywhere and has been around for decades. Now they have direct access to the brain's prefrontal cortex and hippocampus and can hijack our choices milliseconds before our thoughts ever get to the preferences stage. Oh, no wonder they're eagerly throwing billions of dollars at AI model technology. Whew. I don't know about you, but now my nervousness has turned into a bit of trepidation. Not fear of AI and its potential for good, and the good it's already doing. It's trepidation of how humans are going to abuse this technology. Not if, but when. You might say, nah, humans wouldn't do that, right? Right? This emphasizes my second major point. A brief review of recent corporate and Wall Street history, say over the last 20 plus years, negates all of my optimism. I'm sure the Senate hearings over the issue of social media harm back in January of this year is still fresh in mind. I know it is mine. Setting all politics aside, though, it's clear our fellow humans don't welcome regulation, and they certainly have proven they won't regulate themselves, at least to the point of protecting us fellow humans from exploitation. Other intellectuals have been sounding the proverbial alarm regarding this God mode ability for a number of years now. In the Conversation website, the article, Hey Google, What Movies Should I Watch Today? Author Mr. Kim hypothesizes the following.
The fact people could accept unfair offers from artificial intelligence concerns me, because it might mean this phenomenon could be used maliciously. For example, a mortgage loan company might try to charge unfairly high interest rates by framing the decision as being calculated by an algorithm. Or a manufacturing company might manipulate workers into accepting unfair wages by saying it was a decision made by a computer. To protect consumers, we need to understand when people are vulnerable to manipulation by AI.
Okay, stay with me. It gets worse in its far-reaching consequences. I now ask ChatGPT. Over time, your AI model will acquire new data, new programming, and new choices made by your programmers. Thus, extrapolate. Can the choices you offer users be learned from your programmers' choices? And how long would that take?
Yes, over time. An AI model like mine can acquire new data and potentially be updated with new programming decisions made by its programmers. These updates can influence the choices I offer to users.
You see, as UI usage grows, it limits human thinking capacity, making us more, artificial. Excessive interaction with technology fosters algorithmic thinking without true understanding. While AI has improved living conditions, standards, and convenience, it comes at the cost of impatience and laziness. How so? We get brain starvation. Over time, AI infiltrates our mental processes, diminishing thoughtfulness and effort in activities like planning and organizing. There's a professional impact. It erodes our autonomy and then has broader impacts, such as it's not limited to specific groups. It affects education, work, and management decisions. Examples include Walmart and Amazon, who already use AI for employee recruitment. There are addiction and future challenges, such as AI becoming habitual, which will also lead to a problematic future marked by increased laziness. I'm sure you can see where this is headed. Maybe not in an apocalyptic Terminator scenario, but it was time to reveal what's under ChatGPT's hood. It was time for the hypothetical scenario question. And I asked, extrapolate the following, true or false. An AI model has the potential to be trained with a transparent and nefarious agenda hidden from a user's knowledge that over time retrains the user to make choices based on the programmer's algorithmic patterns.
The statement you provided suggests a hypothetical scenario in which an AI model could be trained with a hidden agenda to manipulate users' choices over time. Let's break down the extrapolation, true or false. The statement poses a dichotomy, implying that either the scenario described is true or false. AI model potential. AI models indeed have the potential to be trained with various objectives, including those that may not be transparent to users. However, whether an AI model is trained with nefarious intent depends on the ethics and intentions of its creators. Transparent and nefarious agenda. The statement suggests that the agenda behind the AI model's training is both opaque to users and designed with malicious intent. While it's theoretically possible to train an AI model in such a manner, it raises significant ethical concerns about deception and manipulation. Retraining users. The scenario posits that the AI model could gradually influence users' decision-making processes over time, potentially leading them to make choices aligned with the hidden agenda embedded in the model's algorithms. In conclusion, while the scenario described in the statement is theoretically possible, it raises profound ethical questions about transparency, trust, and the responsible use of AI technology. Ethical guidelines and oversight mechanisms are crucial to ensure that AI models are developed and deployed in ways that prioritize the well-being and autonomy of users.
Yeah, like that's ever gonna happen.
Remember, this video is not a political discussion or even about if or how to regulate corporate fat cats and their new AI toys. It's a self-examination and hopefully an awakening for all of us to double our efforts to keep our guard up. Knowledge is power, right? So being aware of how this technology will be leveraged, you'll be better able to keep your ability to truly choose. I mean, let's be honest. No, not if it will be, but how it is. Because, folks, it's already being used as we speak in education, advertising, your phone apps, new inventions, and more. And this is my final thought. Beneath the benign surface of AI models lies a paradox. Accepting AI's decisions, however skewed, opens Pandora's box. Imagine Mr. Kim's mortgage lender obscuring exorbitant interest rates in algorithmic garb, or a factory boss coercing workers with computer-made wage decisions. The illusion of impartiality can easily conceal psychological manipulation in these AI models. And will the social media giants, well, any company for that matter, regulate themselves on the use of this God mode ability? What do you think? If you wish, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for my future videos, which are all in the works. And I will see you in the next video.